This is a Fatal 4 podcast.
Charlotte just crushing the back of Asuka, and Charlotte now. Uh-oh. Heading toward the top rope. Flair with the moonsault. Oh!
Charlotte didn't get all of it.
Welcome to Didn't Get All of It, the only wrestling podcast that's not going to waste your time. I'm Paul Griffin, and today on the podcast, we're talking a lot of wrestling. For example, Cody Rhodes has a new old challenger for the WWE Championship. NXT keeps battling its way into the grounds of our show. Liv Morgan forces herself into the Judgment Day, and Sheamus and Ludwig beat the hell out of each other. And the Learning Tree's branches snap and crush the joy out of AEW. But first, joining me is the rest of the Fatal Four, including the very punctual Pro Wrestling Noah.
You ever you get the travel toothpastes when you go on a long trip? You ever feel like you need more than one? I feel like I'm self-conscious. Like I feel like I might run through a thing of toothpaste like in less than a week. Is that too much toothpaste?
Yeah, you might be brushing your teeth too much.
Well, it's just really lathering it up in there.
Yeah. Speaking of boys with clean mouths, it's Cody.
I was just gonna say that. Don't worry, I never brush my teeth. So,
well, you only
should
drink
go
water.
see a doctor.
There's nothing to stink him up. He has, he only drinks water. He has no spices. There's no way his teeth could possibly go bad. And finally joining us, the beatboxing B-Rob himself.
No, you should bring 2 tubes of toothpaste.
Just in case?
Just in case.
Just to be safe?
Yes.
Also, when you travel, you could just buy more stuff at the place you go to.
It depends on where you go, I think.
Yeah. I think his place might be a little different than the norm, but
I'm sure they have
I would also like to finally say that we heard like our namesake on the intro here. We finally got Charlotte Flair's Didn't Get All of It on this podcast.
We probably could have gotten that sooner if we just went and looked.
Yeah, but it's weird. She does it so much, but it's not displayed very often.
Yeah,
it is the thing I think about the most when thinking about the phrase "didn't get all of it."
If you look at the logo, it's inspired by Charlotte Flair.
Well, but for legal reasons, it's not her.
Yes, inspired.
I actually went back and watched an old Charlotte Flair match this past week in hopes of finding a clip. But she actually got all of it in this one. The triple threat from WrestleMania 32.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Sasha and Becky.
Okay.
That match slaps.
I hate when that happens.
I loved it then, and I love it now. It's a really good match. And it was like probably the best moonsault she's ever done.
Did she scream at somebody and say, "You can't take this from me"?
I don't think she did that. But
I do think, as much as I want show intros, when she returns, she should stop doing the moonsault, considering so many people in her division do it, and they all do it better.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think she should stop doing Andrade's moveset.
I mean, considering Tiffany has the prettiest moonsault ever, Charlotte either has to retire it or call it the ugliest moonsault ever.
The sloppiest moonsault ever.
Yes, the soupiest, sloppiest moonsault ever.
But what about Io's moonsault?
That's a great moonsault. Isn't that the over the moon moonsault?
Oh, yeah. It's over the moonsault. She doesn't get all the moon because she goes over it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And hers has like a real low trajectory. Like everybody else, they go up, then come down, and like Io just like straight to the point. She's like, I'm coming backwards straight onto you.
Yeah, not a lot of hang time with her moonsault.
And why does she call it over the? Shouldn't it be called under the moonsault? Because she goes real low.
I don't know.
Yeah, but she nails it every time though. It's not.
I think
the prettiest moonsault, but it's a good moonsault. It's a solid.
I think her
That's the prettiest one.
I think her accuracy rate is probably the best of all the women that do moonsaults in that company.
I'd say so.
Well, unfortunately for us, this is not a Moonsault podcast, and I did say we weren't going to waste everybody's time. Did you know that I was trying to find news for the show today because it's been a very slow news week, and one of the things I read was that Ted DiBiase was on his podcast talking about people who say wrestling is fake. Can you imagine plugging your earpods or your AirPods into your ears, booting up the DiBiase podcasty, and listening to him talk for what I assume is 30 minutes between ad breaks about if wrestling is fake or not? That sounds like something I would just drive like over some train tracks, park on them, and wait if that was happening.
It's wild that I just seen like a small YouTube clip of Ted DiBiase Jr. and how he's in jail and stuff.
Oh. Well, I'm happy for him. He doesn't have to listen to his dad's dumbass podcast there.
Yeah, he's in jail for welfare fraud. What are the odds?
Hey, speaking of podcasts, you can subscribe to this one. Didn't get all of it, wherever you get your podcasts. And new shows drop every Friday morning. So subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And also check out fatal4pod.com, fatal, F-O-U-R, pod.com, for links to all of our socials, info about the Patreon that we definitely want you to sign up for. And you can send us emails at the little mail form. If you scroll down the website, there's a form there. You can just type in all this stuff, and you hit a button, and it goes right to our email, and then we look at it, and then we save it for a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You can do all that at fatal4pod.com. How about that? Do you guys want to talk about some of the happenings in wrestling this week?
Let's get into it. There's a decent amount to talk about, even if the news isn't crazy.
We've definitely found a way to fill out the show because a week ago on SmackDown, they were teasing that Cody Rhodes would have a new challenger for the WWE Championship. And throughout the show, AJ Styles was teasing his retirement, despite not wearing a salmon-colored suit. We did get a main event segment with AJ, who invited Cody Rhodes out there. And stop me if you've heard this one before, but see if this sounds a little familiar.
This is still the house that AJ Styles built. And I called you out here to hand you the keys.
On behalf of myself, on behalf of a locker room that you were a big bro for, thank you very much, AJ Styles.
This is making me sick to my stomach. It was a plan all along. Styles lured Rhodes out here to do this. No. Damn it, somebody stop him.
No one can stop them.
Stop AJ Styles. Don't do this, AJ.
So if you can't figure out what happened there, AJ Styles attacked Cody Rhodes and he's not retiring. He tricked him.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it? And then after he did the Styles Clash off the steps onto the floor outside.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't wearing a salmon-colored suit, but he was wearing this very
Powder
bright-ass blue suit, which looked very out of character for him. So
Yeah.
Blue is his color.
Yeah, blues this thing. Plus SmackDown.
blue's his color, but like, when does AJ Styles ever wear suits?
When he
Yeah, that's
fake
what-
retires.
That's when you should have known something was amiss.
Yeah. I mean, I saw this coming from a mile away.
Yeah, a lot of us did.
I had a couple thoughts. One was like, at first I was like, oh man, really doing the Mark Henry fake retirement thing like so soon. But then when I sat and really thought about it, that was 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been a long time. So to kind of pay homage to that and do that moment over again, I think enough time has passed where
A whole generation hadn't
probably-
seen it.
yeah, exactly. A whole new generation could experience this moment. But for me, a lifelong wrestling fan, it was very obvious where it was going.
Mhm.
And
Wild that another 10 years from now that people will be like, oh man, he did the thing that AJ Styles did.
right. But my other issue was not just that, Mark Henry being the first or whatever, but what made the Mark Henry one so believable was he had been off TV for a long time and was really doing nothing. So when he came out to retire, it was very believable. AJ is like coming
He's been
off
back, but not that long. But it's still,
he's been back a while. He's coming fresh off of a main event title match. Like this was just
the same guy.
Right. It was just all very obvious that this was not a real retirement. They should have, if they wanted to run this angle, Styles should have just laid low for like 2 months and done this right before SummerSlam or something, and then they could run that match back at SummerSlam. But
it seems like they've put him back with Gallows and Anderson, which
I was just about to bring that up.
I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, because beat up John Cena was always a good act. Beat up Cody Rhodes can be the same thing if they wanted to do that.
I mean, because you've seen the parallels between Cena and Cody up until this point, right?
He also didn't have their help in the last match, so now if he does. But my concern is what comes of this, unless you're going to have AJ beat Cody, which I don't think they are, though would be fine with it, honestly, as long as Cody Rhodes gets it back quickly. It kind of seems like another setup for AJ to fail, and then what do you do with AJ after that?
I don't know. I mean,
that's a good point.
He is in the twilight hours.
Any logic here is it seems set up for like, hey, this guy's figured it out. He's beat him up. He's going to win the title. It's a second chance. So and honestly, maybe he should win it, and then Cody just wins it back at SummerSlam.
I wouldn't be
time.
Opposed. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think especially after the Reigns run. Like,
I was just about to say that
we're due for some short title reigns,
some hot swapping.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll happen, but I wouldn't be mad about it if they want to go that route. And I think it makes sense. It puts Cody on, the chase again. People like that. And
also record book wise makes him a multi-time champion.
Yeah, he can be a multi-time champion. He has to win the belt back, so when The Rock shows up, he doesn't look like a loser. Maybe I don't know what the logic is, but it seems weird to do all of this only for AJ to just get beat again, because then nothing is gained.
Yeah, and then it might be just that he's openly said that his time is very short. And, despite us looking at it saying like, all right, if you got short amount of time, let us get a couple title reigns in or whatever on the way out. But it's more like, all right, I'm the grizzled veteran. I'm on the way out. Let me do my due diligence, put the young guys over on my way out.
But he doesn't need to put Cody Rhodes over. Cody Rhodes is the most over.
Tradition. I ain't saying that I agree. I'm just saying.
You didn't need to do that. It'd be like if he got into a feud with... I'm trying to think who's an up-and-comer on SmackDown. He already feuded with LA Knight this year.
Karrion Kross. No.
He's on Raw.
He's on Raw.
He's on Raw now? God.
He's on Raw.
I mean, it's a shame that they've doubled down on the heelness, because I feel like there's some good programs left with face AJ Styles, like Logan Paul. I think Logan and AJ would be fantastic.
Have they not done that already?
No.
They should do that. That sounds good.
Yeah. Unless they want to present Logan Paul as a face for SummerSlam, since it's in Cleveland.
I mean, he'll be treated as he's treated.
So, I mean, maybe they do that match at SummerSlam anyway.
And if I could trade the two, and you know how I feel about Logan Paul, I kind of would rather that AJ would do something with Paul. If you had to swap the two.
I was gonna say, don't say Grayson Waller.
No. I was just saying, if it was either a program between Cody and AJ or AJ and freaking Logan Paul, I would probably choose AJ and Logan Paul.
Yeah. AJ and Owens don't have good chemistry, right? Haven't we fallen for that one before?
I don't know.
We've seen AJ and Orton. We've seen AJ and LA Knight. We've seen AJ and Owens, and they kind of stink it up. which is really weird, but that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Who else on SmackDown could he feud with? Andrade?
Yeah, to kind of diversify, shake it up a little bit. I wouldn't mind that.
Is Santos on? Santos is on SmackDown.
Wherever Ray and them is at, this is where he is.
No, Santos isn't on Raw. They separated them.
Yeah, they
did?
Yeah. No, Santos is on
All right,
SmackDown.
Legato versus AJ and Gallows and Anderson could be interesting. Why not?
Because of the last two you said.
They're just part of the group. You kind of have to have them.
I could see them feuding with the Pride also.
I don't care about that anymore.
I guess they are.
Yeah.
Because they're so hot and cold with fucking those guys, the Prophets. It's like, yeah, make them do things. Now make them lose. Get them out of here. Now start all over again. Yeah. Now make them lose. Get them out of here.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're doing with AJ, and I'm worried that they're starting them all over again just to lose. So let's move on away from SmackDown.
I'm looking at the SmackDown roster. It's pretty lackluster, to be honest. So I don't really know what other options we've got besides AJ and Cody again.
Have they signed anybody that they could bring over? Is there anybody from like NXT they called up that they could put there?
No, not really.
They've got Carmelo Hayes.
You know what? Cody, it is.
Yeah. But you want to talk a little bit about NXT, Paul?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of running angles back from a long time ago, Shawn Michaels' vanity project of running his angles back is NXT. You watched this week, right? It's your favorite show.
Yeah. I was kind of out of it or whatever. They did have the 6-woman tag team match to main event, I believe. And it was all the participants that are going to be in the ladder match this Sunday for what is that show called? Goddamn Underground.
Battleground.
Battleground, because they're going to have a NXT Underground on that card. So that's why I got confused.
They keep showing the Octagon in those promos. And I don't know, are they going to wrestle in the Octagon?
It would be cool. I mean, it's going to be in the UFC Apex arena place thing. So there's going to be an Octagon on site.
How are they going to put an Octagon in there when there's a ring in the place of the Octagon? Like, unless it's on wheels, I don't know if it's going to be rolled in and out.
They could do it. They can make it happen.
I don't think they could.
If they wanted to. Anyway, but the main event was a 6-person tag with all the women that will be competing in the ladder match for the North American Women's Championship at Battleground this Sunday. But outside of that, I mean, I really don't care about too much that happened on the show other than Jordynne Grace had her NXT debut in the opening match against Stevie Turner. And it was what you think it would be. Jordynne Grace getting to show off her shit, getting her stuff in or whatnot. Stevie looked okay, but it was just more to highlight Jordynne Grace. And yeah. And then, there was some other shenanigans on there, but the most notable stuff was to close the show was the contract signing for the men's NXT title match that has been slated here for goddamn Battleground. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time remembering the name of this goddamn show.
It's a pretty generic title for a PLE.
So there's a lot of stuff to come out of this promo package that they did because it was kind of like a double signing type of deal because this involved Ethan Page's contract that he worked out with Ava, and by Ava signing the contract to sign Ethan Page to the show, it grants him this title opportunity. But Trick was so hot in the head to get Ava to sign it to get Ethan on the roster that he may have omitted some stipulations that will be put into play this Sunday. They didn't divulge, but it was heavily alluded to.
Oh, no.
So it was just
one of the stipulations that he's going to have Dan Lambert in his corner?
I hope not. But
he was part of that stable, right?
That's a name. I totally forgot about him.
Wasn't he in that stable with Dan Lambert?
Yeah.
Yes, because what happened was they broke Scorpio Sky away from his thing. Then they paired him with Ethan Page. Then they paired Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky with Dan Lambert. And then they added Paige Van Zant and all those other UFC goons and everything.
And they're going to be in the UFC Apex building.
Ooh.
Battleground.
And Paige Van Zant's AEW contract just ran up.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. What a career she had there.
What if she helps Ethan Page win the NXT title on Sunday?
Yikes.
Yeah.
They will not bring in Paige Van Zant and not bring back what's her butt from Toxic Attraction. Because Paige Van Zant's like doing worse stuff.
Mandy Rose.
Yeah, they're not going to bring her back. If they don't bring Mandy Rose back, they're not bringing in Paige Van Zant.
Wait, Paige Van Zant's doing worse stuff?
Well,
she's fighting again.
Well,
what?
I've seen her fight. She's not good at winning, but she is doing. Worse is not the word I would use, but elevated in terms of what she's doing on that website.
On what website? I want to make sure I avoid it.
It's a place where only fans are allowed. So if you're not a fan of Paige Van Zant, you can't be there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I mean, there was a couple other things on the show. They're pushing the rivalry between Dante Chen and Lexis King.
All right, we don't need to recap that shit. Let's talk about Battleground. Please, I'm not recapping what happened between Lexis King and anybody else.
I was just going to breeze through it anyway. I wasn't going to drill.
We don't have to do that. No wasting time on this podcast. So, Battleground, you said the main event on this NXT show was the women in the ladder match. Can you name all 6 of them?
Mi Chen, Kehlani Jordan, Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Sol Ruka, and I'm missing one.
Fallon Henley.
Fallon Henley. There you go. That's the one that's trying to amass an attitude, but she's really a genuinely nice person and she can't pull it off.
Well, good luck to her on that. So a ladder match with these 6. I assume Sol Roku's going to do the backflipping
soul
RKO
snatch off the
ladder.
Off the ladder.
That's gonna
if she makes it that far in the match.
Without tearing something, right?
I don't know.
This is for the inaugural.
The NXT Women's North American Championship.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. This is a clusterfuck with people who aren't skilled with ladders. Not that women can't climb ladders, but these are new. They're new to this ish.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're putting them in a difficult position. But maybe I hope they prove me wrong. Maybe it'll kick ass.
Yeah.
I also am not thrilled about the advent of the Women's North American Championship. If there's going to do a mid-card women's title, like, I don't know, why not come up with something different? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it feels weird to just have all the same titles, but throw the word women's in front of it and give them a white strap.
Well,
it's like,
it's easy for merchandise.
Sure. But I don't know. Like, I at least appreciate that AEW has the TBS title, which feels unique and cool. And like, yeah, it's the equivalent of the TNT title, but at least you know what I mean.
CW title,
sure. Or like, why not like the television title, or like I don't know, the Canadian
just bring
title,
back the UK title that was beautiful. And just make
Divas.
it a mid-card
Those
championship.
UK titles
Let's
look
bring
so
back the
great.
Divas. Let's bring back that butterfly.
No,
Yeah.
let's not do that.
Also on this card for the North American Championship with the black strap, it is Joe Coffey against Wesley and Obafemi. Did I read something on the internet that was accurate that Joe Coffey is suspended?
I heard.
Or is that somebody else?
I think it's the other Coffee.
There's
Or is
another
it-
Coffee.
I don't know.
Is it
Yeah,
decaf?
Mark Coffee and Joe Coffee.
I feel like I saw something that one of the Coffeys was suspended for allegations.
Yeah, that's what I saw too. But I don't know if that's old or new. Because I mean, they were there on the show beating up somebody, unless they got
I thought they were all
another
there.
person that looked exactly like him. Or this
You
could have
never
been
know,
pre-taped. Who
honestly.
knows?
You really, if someone put Joe Coffey and Mark Coffey in a room and said name these people, you couldn't do it.
I mean, they looked very similar. They might be like I don't know if they're twins per se or not or whatever, but like one of them had to cut their hair so you can kind of tell them apart because one's bald now.
So Joe Coffey was suspended 3 years ago, Paul. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's old.
Okay, I just that's why I asked. Did I see this, and is that right? Thank you for answering. It is not right.
Did you see it 3 years ago? Because if so,
I saw it.
Nah,
I saw it today.
it just showed up again. Yeah, it just showed up again.
Some Gen Zers probably trying to get him in trouble.
Obafemi at the last PLE was really good in a triple threat setting. It seems smart to keep booking him in triple threats to kind of protect some of his weak spots that he might have.
Yeah, I get that.
And Wesley is awesome, so
Yeah,
this should be good.
Wesley always shows out at PLEs.
Yeah, I think he'll be the ring general for this match, Mr. Wesley. And then it's a good proving ground for him, to like fully showcase himself after coming back from that injury.
No, Proving Ground is a different NXT show. This is Battleground.
And Joe Coffey can eat the pin.
Yeah, of course. That's why he's there. Now, the one that I'm kind of interested in to see is the one that I was kind of bumblefucking over a little while ago. Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice in NXT Underground.
I could
This
see
one
them
where they have
doing
no
this in an
ropes, right?
octagon.
I just don't know how do you get it in there? It's not a big building.
Just do it. The octagon's already there. Just do it over in the octagon.
But they have to put a wrestling ring in there.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
The whole show's going to have a wrestling ring. They have multiple matches.
Imagine they do the octagon for this, but they didn't do the octagon when they had Shayna versus Rousey. When they did basically this.
Oh God, that was so bad.
They have the ring and the arena's set up around the ring, but then off to the side of the stage, they have the octagon.
Just like the fucking battle pit.
Just like they did for Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock back in the day.
I only want this if they get Bruce Buffer or Michael Buffer? Bruce Buffer to do the intros from UFC. People who know about him know about
Let's not get crazy. We got Roxanne Perez defending her NXT Women's Championship against the TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace. That's gonna be wild.
I think we're either getting shenanigans finish or Jordan's winning this title.
That would be wild to think.
I just don't know how I don't know how Roxanne wins this match.
It's a conundrum. I mean, I'm happy either way because I like both of these women, and but just the implications of the Knockouts World Champion from a whole nother company, a whole nother brand, taking that title and going somewhere else. I'm very intrigued by that. I want to see how they do it. I want to see how they pull it off. It'll be amazing to see.
I've seen some people speculate do you think WWE's gonna buy a TNA? And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, well now that's I've been saying this for many, many, many years on this show and previous shows, to where it's been proven historically that if WWE, WWF has had hands with any company, that company usually is absorbed or bought out. It's just a proven fact.
I want to know first why Noah doesn't want it to happen.
Yes, tell me why.
Because competition's good. I mean, I know
they don't have that.
I know. It's not necessarily on the same level, but I don't know. I just like this little thing. I mean, that sounds condescending to TNA.
Did you watch this little thing though?
I don't. What I would watch the little
so it
thing,
doesn't fucking
but
matter.
It costs a subscription that I don't want to. I don't want another subscription.
The thing with
so
TNA
let WWE
now,
buy it, and you can watch it on Peacock, which you already have subscribed to.
The thing with TNA now is not what it was years ago. It is a little thing off to the side that has rejects, and it's not good. That's the thing is Jordynne Grace is awesome. That's it. There's not a lot coming out of this company.
I don't know. I feel like every time a pay-per-view happens, everyone goes nuts about TNA.
Yeah, they say, LOL TNA, they did it again. Matt Hardy is there. They get it every once in a while, they get a good PR bump, but then they fire 6 people that are major players in the backstage.
But that's the thing about it though. I mean, that would allude to that fact as well, or point in that fact. It's just when you sell or get bought out, you cut costs to make that, that arrangement more profitable at some points or whatever.
Get
so
rid of redundancies.
You got rid of D'Amore. You got rid of a whole bunch of the creative staff and crew and whatnot. You didn't bring in anybody new for the most part. So, I mean, it would make you think that.
I wouldn't be shocked if they acquire the rights in the tape library.
I mean, but if you do that, you acquire the whole thing to do it. Because they ain't going to just give you the tape library.
If there's one thing that I need to happen, either Triple H or Shawn Michaels, depending on where we want to have TNA
I know what you're going to do.
They need to come out and they need to do the promo and start listing names and asking the crowd who they want to see. And they need to do the Jeff Jarrett bit with Dolph Ziggler.
Mm-hmm.
When Vince was like, "Do you want to see Jeff Jarrett?" And they kind of booed, and he's like, "Yeah, he's gone." They should do that with Dolph Ziggler.
But this is a thing that I would want, and I wish they tried to do it somewhat, but it wound up being what they call it, WWECW, to where like do you buy out or whatever you're gonna do, and just let them operate independently. Just let them do their thing. You put some quality people in there. It's best quality that you can get for professional wrestling, right? And let them run their thing independently. And you can kind of infuse, a few NXT people or WWE people here sparingly, but don't let them overrun it and make it,
So like what AEW should have done with ROH.
Yes, exactly. You're 100% right. Exactly that.
I think the odds of that happening. Yeah, I think the odds of it happening that way are slim to none. I think you're going to get Level Up being rebranded to TNA Impact.
And
then it's just another feeder system, and it's not impressive. Nothing cool happens there like ROH.
Well, I feel that. I don't disagree with anything y'all just said, but like, do we feel that because of what we've seen previously, or do we have no confidence in the regime that we have now?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yes to both questions.
Very well.
I just don't know how you do it. I think I think their best bet is to get the tape library, get the theme song so you can have AJ Styles come out to Get Ready to Fly, and then that's it. Get Jordan Grace's contract, save a person or two, call it a day.
Yeah, I got you.
It's a bummer that a lot of people will lose their jobs, but like, let's be real, TNA ain't their only job.
Yeah, hey, for real,
they're not getting fired from LA Fitness.
Like, for real, a lot of them motherfuckers over there, and I can point to some, and I can give you some names if you like. They need to go away.
You know what? It's kind of Paul, you bring up Dolph Ziggler, made me think kind of a sticky situation regarding this working relationship between NXT and TNA is like, because Nick Nemeth is over there. But like within the world of kayfabe, and like the fact that these two universes, for lack of a better term, coexist, like, why is he Nick Nemeth on that show? But if he were to show up over here, would he be Dolph Ziggler again?
He'd have to be Dolph Ziggler. Nobody knows who Nick Nemeth is.
I feel like that'd just be a good R-Truth bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like
TNA R-Truth too could go back to TNA.
And then you can cut a promo. We can just
Noah, you don't know this because you didn't watch wrestling like we did. Did you know that R-Truth is currently using the same theme song he used in TNA?
I think I had heard that, yes.
20 years ago?
Yeah.
That is still a good kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts.
You know why?
People love it because he made it. It's his.
Well, yeah, exactly, because he's smart and he trademarked his own shit.
Like, everyone's waiting for, what's TNA gonna get in return for this working relationship? And it's like, I feel like Dolph Ziggler should just negotiate to be Dolph Ziggler on Impact.
Yeah, and then like
let him be that name.
Then like the simplest thing or whatever that you would get out of this, Jordan Grace going up against Natalya at one of their pay-per-views. Like, honestly, if they're not doing like a big buy, like a big buyout. If they're not doing big buyout or making moves like that or whatever, I can see that because of two things. It's very simple. It's Natalya. She's on the way out. She's a veteran. Everybody knows her. Recognizable face. And they want to do that. So, I mean, there you go.
Well, maybe it's closer to the WWF ECW working relationship from, 97, 98 time?
That eventually got the company bought.
Right, but less than what we're thinking of.
Yeah, because like Vince
buyout.
Yeah, because like Vince was like, here's a couple ducats. Let me see this guy every now and then.
TNA is not having a final show where it's like, is that Shawn Michaels in a TNA? Actually, they might. They might do that.
They literally might do that.
But it would be for a bit. It wouldn't be oh my
What if
God, I
it's
can't
like-
believe Shane McMahon is here. That's cool.
The name on the contract does say Levesque, but it says Stephanie McMahon
Stephanie-
Levesque.
I don't know, how old isn't Aurora Rose old enough to buy a pro wrestling company? It's time to get her involved.
I mean, I could talk about this all day, like legitimately, but like let's roll through these last 2 matches on this card.
Let's knock this out. We got to get to a break.
Yeah, we got the NXT Tag Team Champions, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, which I don't think they gave a proper name to yet, versus
They
the
don't
OC.
need
Boo.
Their name will be former tag team champions after this show.
That's gonna
You
suck.
think OC's winning?
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But we don't even have to expound upon that because in the main event, presumably, we have the NXT champion Trick Williams versus all ego Ethan Page. Shenanigans afoot.
I
That'll
think
be interesting.
you put the belt on Ethan Page right now.
Do it.
I think it's a good idea if you
Do it while he's hot.
I have nothing against it.
It ain't gonna hurt Trick Williams at all. He's over.
Nope.
You could call him up on Monday and he would get a pop.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. I mean, enough said.
All right.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Jamal.
Yeah. Are you guys doing
Fire
a
Booker
post
T
show
from commentary. Fire Booker T
Cody
from
and B Rob,
commentary.
you guys were talking about it.
I'm not opposed to it. Sunday.
Yeah. Subscribe to Didn't Get All of It wherever you get your podcasts, and you may very well see a little show of B Rob and I talking about Battleground in your feed.
And if you are subscribed to our Patreon and you have exclusive rights to our Discord or whatever during the NXT Battleground show, join us in the chat and we can all watch together.
Yeah,
That'll be
watch
cool.
along.
Watch along. So you put on your feed, I put on my feed. We'll watch it at our own houses, and we're cool.
That's right. Get the Discord.
Wait,
we show
Can I
feed.
come to your house and watch it, B Rob?
You can.
All right.
You don't want to come to Houston right now.
It's
I
very
actually
hot.
I opened my weather app. I have Houston saved in my weather app as like one of the
I
locations.
do that too.
Just because you guys and also from when I traveled there. But
Yeah, when you go places, I save it.
yeah, and I like scrolled down to it by mistake today, and I was like, "Holy shit!" It was like 95.
Yeah, it's
just
gross
not,
over
That's
here.
not the feels like. The feels like is worse.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 107 or something.
107
I'm
or
checking
something.
right now.
And then I saw
It won't even
next
tell me.
Thursday is going
Just
to be
says 99. It must be
degrees.
getting. It must be cooling off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about weather all day, but I think this is where we kick the brakes.
Yeah. Whether you want to hear more about the weather or you
I
want to
like
hear
that.
us talk about Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day stuff, Chad Gable's latest antics, Sheamus and Ludwig, and I know some of these dorks are going to talk about Braun Breaker. You can catch that right after this. And we are back, folks. I hope you enjoyed all of those beautiful ads. Maybe go buy a car from that dealership. Maybe gamble at that casino. All of the things you can do. Landscaping is one of my favorite ones I get.
Mhm.
Not sure about you guys. Oh,
I mean,
Cody in the period panties.
Oh, it is
You know,
really a roulette type situation, however, because like I got 2 ads. It's some of the similar ones that you just named, and then for the third ad break, I got nothing. It was just pause.
Yeah, I've noticed
And we're
that some
back.
of them, maybe people don't want to advertise on us. Sometimes they just don't fill in the spots, but whatever.
hmm
A lot of the times it's like the same ads over and over again, but what can you do?
Mhm.
Hey, well, you know what you can do if you hate those ads? Subscribe to the Patreon, because at patreon.com/fatal4pod, you get ad-free episodes.
That's true.
That is
And we do
true.
have the Oops All Emails episode coming out soon, and we haven't announced this yet, but
Oh, tell
you
me
do
more.
want to be a Patreon subscriber for an upcoming pilot episode of a new Fatal 4 podcast.
Yeah. So like a lot of people might have been wondering, why do we call it Fatal 4 Podcasts with an S?
Yeah,
Because there might be more than one.
exactly. So that's coming up quite soon.
Yeah. Also, other perks. We got a Fatal Film Club movie night coming up next weekend. That would be Saturday, what's next Saturday? The 15th. We're doing a Fatal Film Club double feature. Last time we did in association with Marvel Film double feature where we watched Madam Web and Morbius. This time we're having an action-packed double feature to where we will watch The Raid Redemption and The Raid 2. So this is all a part of your Patreon package if you're a member.
That sounds like a fun experience for people who want to take part. I don't know if I can tolerate you guys for that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, patreon.com/fatal4pod to get all of that. In the meantime, let's talk about some of the action on Raw. Folks, Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser beat the fuck out of each other on this show.
I regret missing that.
Go seek it out. This is like worth your time. One, I didn't expect Ludwig to just be a killer character. Because he's just a scrawny little dude. But he beat the shit out of Sheamus, and Sheamus made him look like a mega star here. The whole match, Ludwig was working his leg, and then at the end, Sheamus wasn't able to kick out because of the way he was positioned in the pin, and his leg was too weak. It was really smart. Just an all-around excellent match. And I think of all the matches on the show, that's the one worth highlighting. There wasn't a ton of other wrestling on there worth seeing, but there was. What are you saying, Noah?
There is another match that's worth highlighting.
What's the other match worth highlighting?
Braun Breaker and Ricochet.
Yeah, that match fucking ruled.
That went too long. What are you talking about?
What?
What do you mean too long? It wasn't long enough.
Breaker should have killed him.
No.
Come on.
I thought you guys
love
were
this
Breaker
match.
marks.
We are.
And Ricochet also rules, which has been very evident of recent episodes of Monday Night Raw.
Nah.
No, I thought
the only thing I really like about this is the setup for Ilya and Braun.
No, you're crazy.
And
go back and watch this.
Hear me
match.
out. I think Ilya should win.
Well,
What?
yeah.
You're insane. Listen, this was a perfectly wrestled pro wrestling match. It was like everything I want out of wrestling. It was big powerhouse guy, speed guy, like, a styles clash. It was Ricochet selling a rib injury, Braun working it over. Like, it was just, I thought this match was flawless. It was a sprint. It was great. And I think they are.
It was a sprint with a commercial break, I think.
Okay, it was a, but it wasn't a
long-ass
marathon.
match.
It wasn't a marathon. What's?
It was a 5K, folks.
Okay, 5K. There we go. Let's try
Maybe a fun run, a 10K. It was too long for Braun Breaker is a killer. For a guy who's winning competition and squashing people, to immediately get thrown into a match with Ricochet and go like 10 is silly.
But Ricochet's good.
But he was hurt too, so he should have just rolled through him.
But he's fast. He's fast as fuck.
So
Braun
was
Breaker's
Braun.
really
That
fast
was the
too.
whole story of the match.
They're both fast.
They talk about how fast he runs the ropes.
He does run those
miles
ropes
per
real fast.
He's a fast boy. Anyway,
He's a dog-faced gremlin.
enough of that. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, there was a slight news story to bring up here. I've been curious about this in the Discord. Where's Dijak? And he did apparently get drafted to Raw during the draft, but has not been seen or spoken of.
What? He did?
Dijak. Yeah, he got drafted to Raw.
Says who?
Well, apparently his contract's up and the negotiations are underway. And the big story today from Fightful was that the negotiations are positive. So I assume he's just going to sign and they'll figure out how to use him at some point. Anyway, the other thing going on Raw, we've talked about this like every week since we started this podcast, is the Gable Alpha Academy stuff. And this week, Sami Zayn called out the Alpha Academy and they all showed up. And Maxine is putting on a clinic in acting because she's traumatized, and she reads off the card of what Gable, like she literally reads it in Gable's voice of what he wants her to say. And it was really great. And basically Gable said, I want a title shot. And Sami Zayn gave it to him. And then Gable showed up and beat up Sammy. And then there was a whole bunch of stuff between the rest of the Alpha Academy and him bullying them. And then he did a thing where it made it seem like Sammy bumped into Otis, thus knocking Maxine and Tozawa off the apron and hurting them. And Otis doesn't like hurting his friends because he's a good guy. Mm-hmm. And Gable was like, no, he did that. He did that. And Otis believed him, and he attacked Sammy, and now we got Sammy versus Otis this week on Raw. I don't think they're going to do what I want with Maxine turning heel.
Oh, okay.
There was a period in this segment where I thought, because Otis was like getting in Gable's face, I think that was this week, and I thought Maxine was going to kick him in the balls from behind. Like I thought it was about to happen, but that's not the case.
That is a horrible even statement to say, to get kicked in the balls from the back.
Yeah, that probably would hurt really bad. Especially like because the foot would wrap around, so you're getting like everything.
Yeah.
Getting
like,
all of it.
Like a hook. Yeah. Maxine would get all of it if she kicked someone in the balls from behind. That's probably someone's kink, and they're probably gonna hit the back 30-second button on this pod several times. Just think about that. I hope you enjoy that. That's free. But if you didn't enjoy that, patreon.com/Fatal4Pod.
Get on all fours and get kicked in the nuts from the back.
Yeah. Give us $3 if you really enjoyed that. The other big
Otis
story
is over as fuck.
Oh.
Always.
Yeah. Otis has never not been over.
True. But like that pop when the crowd thought he was going to stand up to Gable was like,
yeah,
they are
not
edging
quite
it.
Sami Zayn turning on the bloodline, but like
it was up there.
It was up there.
They building
That's
it.
going to be a huge moment
Mm-hmm.
when it finally happens.
What if that moment never happens and he turns heel?
Well, technically, you're already heel, ain't he?
What if instead of the Creed brothers joining Gable and turning on everybody, it's just a super stable and they're all in it?
Oh,
they just turn on Tozawa.
No, not Tozawa.
I mean,
not my dancing boy.
Well, yeah, that's also going to be like a secondary payoff or whatever. Otis, going to, free himself or whatever. Then Tozawa's finally going to do the dance again.
Well, I hope they have a plan for what comes next, because I don't know what's left for them after that. But my hunch is that
Tozawa.
If Gable hasn't signed a new deal, he's at least sticking around for a while because he did get a title shot at Clash at the Castle.
Yeah. I mean, or it could be just simply a contract extension to get him beyond Clash at the Castle.
They need to extend it for years.
He wins the Intercontinental title at Clash at the Castle and then
shows up at Forbidden Door.
Shows up at Forbidden Door with the Intercontinental title. Drops it.
Shout out to all of us for not fumbling that pay-per-view name.
Yeah, why is it so hard to say? I feel like I have to concentrate so hard to say Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
It's a tongue twister.
Yes.
Well,
yes, the crack at the clavicle.
Speaking of things that I would like to twist my tongue, the big part of Raw revolved around Liv Morgan.
Dom, how long are you going to keep on lying to yourself? You didn't come out to the ring last week to help Becky. You came out so you can be closer to me. And that's okay. Because I meant what I said when I said that I want to take everything away from Rhea Ripley. And that includes you.
Back off! This has been enough. He doesn't want anything to do with you. In fact, none of the Judgment Day do.
Well, what if I don't want to go? But most importantly, what if he doesn't want me to go?
And the distraction by Liv allows McDonough and Balor to once again, along with Carlito, assault Strowman. The story here is Liv Morgan with a human shield for Dominic.
I'm a little curious where we're going here with the Judgment Day stuff, but as you heard, the show revolved around Liv Morgan because she did kiss Dominic last week on Raw. That happened as we were all watching Modern Family or something. So she addressed that to kick the show off. Dominic's like, hey, Rhea's going to be really big mad at you. And she's like, well, she's going to be mad at us. So they're not hiding much anymore with this, which I think is fun. But I am curious what the Judgment Day looks like, say, after SummerSlam, because Carlito's involved. I assume that Rhea is getting the boot, and Damian Priest is an obvious contender to get kicked out. I wonder if it's some weird stable of like, I don't even know if Liv stays in it, but
just implode them and get them away.
Are they gonna? But I don't think they're gonna split up. Like, I think the obvious thing that comes from this is JD and Balor are a tag team.
Yeah.
I don't know where Carlito and Dominic fit in. I don't think they're a tag team, but I could see them being part of a JD McDonough and Finn Balor like group. But like Priest and Rhea are not long for this thing. So I'm curious how this shakes out. They also beat the absolute fuck out of Strowman with help from Liv because he was beating up everybody, and then she showed up to protect Dominic Mysterio. And I guess we'll find out on the 17th is when the QR code gave a date, the most recent one.
Yeah.
My hunch is that Strowman is in whatever that Bray Wyatt group is. And maybe they feud with the Judgment Day. And maybe that's how Priest... Maybe that's how the belt comes off of Priest. Maybe they somehow extend the life of the Judgment Day again. Because they were supposed to split up like a year ago.
That's all bad ideas. I don't think
they were about to split up before Mania. Like, this has been going on for a while. So I just don't know I don't know where you go here. I think Liv Morgan is fantastic, though.
Yes.
And
in general,
I'm loving it. Yeah, she's fantastic.
I could see Priest dropping the title, being kicked out of the group, and subsequently turning face. JD and Finn Balor stay a tag team. I think Dominic either goes off with Liv and Carlito joins him, and they just separate from Finn and JD.
They kind of had like
just stops to exist.
Yeah, they kind of had like this underlining thing with Dominic and all these misfits coming into the Judgment Day clubhouse and shit. So like they had Santos and his people come through there. They had Carlito come through there. They had Andrade come through there, all because they had dealings with Dominic. So it made you allude to think that like he was creating this subgroup within the Judgment Day or whatever.
Yeah, but then the draft.
But
happened,
they didn't do it.
Yeah, they didn't do that. So
yeah.
Unless it's like Dominic, Liv, and Carlito as the new Christian, Trish, and Tyson Tomko, I don't know. Maybe that's it. That seems a little weird. I feel like Liv is just there to fuck things up and not.
Oh yeah,
like she's not there to keep Dominic. She's there to just ruin it.
Yeah, I think that's her whole thing. She just wants to dismantle it and everything and just cause as much chaos. Yeah.
And I mean, everyone's made the joke, but like, they really should do Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan in a ladder match for the custody of Dominic.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, they should.
I mean, like, have it be a world title ladder match, but like,
yeah, the implications.
It should also be Dominic like sides with whoever wins.
The implications.
That's the thing though, is he shouldn't, because
a third person would come out. His
Rhea
actual
shouldn't
wife.
want him at this point, and Liv should also. She never wanted him to begin with, so I don't really know how that plays out unless Rhea comes back, destroys Liv, and then destroys Dominic. That sounds actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Destroy me, mommy.
Sounds pretty cool. So yeah, that is all the shenanigans from Raw. It was kind of a better week than last week, because last week was kind of a tough one to get through. I think they're finding their footing after Mania and after the draft, and it's been difficult to like CM Punk's still injured, so he's never around. Drew McIntyre showed up at the very end of the show during a Damian Priest Rey Mysterio match where Priest didn't seem like he wanted to bump at all, and also is just completely heatless. Like nobody's into Priest right now, and it's really kind of strange. I don't know if it was the crowd they had or he's just struggling.
Yeah, I think it's just the group dynamic with him being the world champion. It's just like, it's obvious that Rhea is the front person for that group.
Yeah.
Right. But even right now, the stories live.
I know, but like even with like her gone, it's just like everybody else is just like an afterthought. And you know, you do have Liv there, which now is the focal point of Judgment Day rather than the world fucking champion for the men.
Yeah. It's a little weird. But they keep getting better, and I feel like Punk is probably due back any second
to leave again. But whatever.
Well, hopefully he doesn't get hurt, because I would like to see him do things.
Evergreen, as you would say.
Well, speaking of places CM Punk used to get hurt at, we will talk about AEW right after the break, because there's a lot of stuff on this show that will have us titling the name of this podcast ComplAin-E-W.
And welcome back to Didn't Get All of It. You've made it through most of the show. We've talked about NXT. We've talked about WWE. Now it's time to talk about All Elite Wrestling.
It's time for the main event.
I wouldn't call this the main event. It just happens to be the last thing we're talking about. But AEW Dynamite this week was it was rough, folks. It was not a great show. There was a lot of things that I don't know. It didn't
questionable
feel
things.
Like questionable things. It doesn't feel like the AEW that we all know and love.
I think it's right on par.
All love.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't have the charm of what AEW used to be. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
It seems very cynical
now more than ever
lately.
Feels now more than ever that it's like inmates running the asylum. And I know AEW gets a lot of WCW comparisons. Sometimes unrightfully so, and sometimes very rightfully so. But this does really feel like 2000 WCW in the worst way possible. And one of the biggest reasons and one of the reoccurring stories throughout this week's episode of AEW Dynamite was the evolution, if you will, of the learning tree gimmick.
Oh, it's the FTW champion.
Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. Hey, listen. As the holder of a valid driver's license for over 35 years, remember, you're supposed to come to a full and complete stop at every sign. Don't ever forget that. Thanks, driver. Hi, guys. And Cool Hand Ange, beautiful new bride with a baby on the way. I'm an 8-time champion and a 3-time parent, so I've got some advice for you. When the baby gets fussy, just remember easy. Give him something to eat, and then an activity, and then sleep, and then you. It's easy. If you do that, the baby will always be happy. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Lonnie.
Why? You make sure that baby respects Chris Jericho.
As a guy who's been eating chicken and dumplings for many years, let me show you how to scoop it properly. You get it all the way to the top, then you put it in your bowl. That's the best way to dollop it out. Thanks, guys.
What the hell was that?
The bane of my existence.
This threw me for a loop because this happened. I don't even think that was all of the clips. I shortened some of them because
it's not.
This happened multiple times throughout the entire show.
Yes,
and
it did.
He wasn't talking this way last week. He wasn't behaving this way last week.
He was. It's just more exaggerated now.
But
No.
I've seen
before it was like it was coming off as like
arrogant veteran,
arrogant, phony, like disingenuous. This is like,
so it was shitty last week. It's shittier this week. Gotcha.
He's like a mix between 2002 DDP and Perry Saturn. And it doesn't make sense.
With a sprinkle of Eugene on top.
I think that's him thinking this is very funny. I've seen speculation online that this is him mocking CM Punk, giving unsolicited advice. And if that's what you're doing in this company, is everybody's doing a bit about CM Punk, then just make your show the CM Punk show. While he is off getting paid a shit ton of money and being a fucking successful guy on the other product.
At home.
You can all do CM Punk bits. You all do your little bits. Make your world title program about CM Punk, make Chris Jericho about CM Punk, make the Elite about CM Punk. It's all CM Punk, except he ain't fucking there.
I did not get any kind of CM Punk feeling from this.
I've just seen speculation, and it's based on it's not based on screen CM Punk. It's based on
backstage.
Nobody wants to listen to me. I'm a veteran. They should respect me. All that talk.
Sure. But either way, like it's not funny.
No.
It's not entertaining.
I will say, in the context of the clip that I played, it is kind of amusing. In the context of this is Chris Jericho, veteran pro wrestler who's been doing this forever, and in the context of the show and it happening every break, it's not funny at all. It's actually really terrible. And part of the reason it's not funny is because everything else in this show is a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Elite is doing this stuff. They're being goofballs and cutting segments throughout the show, and everything's tongue in cheek, and it's just overkill.
Yeah, I agree there. I feel like, and I've never been this tapped in, but from my understanding, what is it called? Being the Elite is not a thing anymore, right?
No, it is, but it isn't.
Yeah.
So it's no longer.
I don't want any lore. I just want to say that the Young Bucks don't do their shitty online internet show anymore, and so now they have to use the actual AEW television program as an outlet to get their bits over, and it sucks.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is how they got the company anyway.
Because of that. Because I agree. Like the Jericho stuff is bad, but then I've been enjoying the Young Bucks like stuff up until the pay-per-view, basically, because now it's too much. Now there's Christopher Daniels, who's a face authority figure, and then they're the heel authority figure, and like they're cutting segments, and they're like,
it makes no sense because he is a EVP as well. If there was a position above the EVPs, then this would make more sense to me. I know he's imbued with the powers of Tony Khan. He's his proxy, but still giving him the title there. Yeah, right. But still giving him the title of EVP, it makes no sense. And like Paul said,
EVP, what does that even mean?
He's there. So this is for a limited time.
To TK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but an interim position is always created like to replace somebody, or like
Kenny.
As like a substitute.
Yeah, Kenny.
Oh, is he Kenny's replacement? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, that's who it would be because he's a EVP as well, and he's out right now with an injury.
But that's not how they explained it.
Yeah,
they
but that's
explained it as he was Tony Khan's.
They didn't explain
EVP.
that.
They said it on TV. It's like, I'm here to fill in for Tony Khan. And then Tony Khan appeared on Rampage like the same week. In the same room with Christopher Daniels. Like,
so the fact that we're going around and around about this shows how shitty it is. So
there was a time in this company where it was, we're doing wrestling different. We don't have authority figures, and Tony Khan will never be on TV. And now we have upwards of 5 authority figures feuding with each other, with one who two of them who cannot wrestle, one because they have diverticulitis and the other because he's Tony Khan. One who is Christopher Daniels, who nobody gives a fuck about, and the Young Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. Like, just what is the payoff here? Like, what? I mean, that's the thing we haven't even gotten into. This could be a whole episode of a show in itself.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get out of this? What is the payoff?
Kenny Omega comes back and just beats everybody up. Hopefully, I don't know. Like,
and then
that's a ways off.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not good. The Young Buck stuff has certainly jumped the shark for me. The Jericho stuff is really bad, and I'm not like B-Rob. B-Rob has hated, I think, everything Jericho has done since
rightfully so.
AEW. I've enjoyed some of his stuff. I felt like some of his in-ring work has still been very solid, and I didn't hate everything he's done, but this is by far the worst. And Brian Keith sucks in this role.
Hey, bitch.
He's the best part of it, but
he's the best part of it.
He shouldn't be in this role.
Exactly.
Like, I left in the part of him saying, "You make sure that baby respects Chris Jericho," because that was very funny. But he shouldn't be doing this.
No,
I don't know. It's just, and the Void. I don't know. It's
not Brian Keith's fault.
Just say this ain't the learning tree. This is the return of the JAS. Except,
yeah,
it's not the Jericho Appreciation Society. It's the Jericho Autism Society.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, I've seen that being floated around outside of our text messages, so it's not just us.
Mm-hmm.
That it seems like Jericho is trying to play off of that, and that is problematic in this current time.
It's not great.
Currently, he is not great. So, fuck that dude.
That's how this started. Why is he talking like that?
Right.
Well, I think it's supposed to be coming off as like children's educational television, which I think they're also leaning into with like Brian Keith as kind of being, you know, like the grouchy one, and I don't know, Big Bill's the tall one.
I appreciate your attempts to justify it, but why is he talking like that? That's not his voice. That's not how.
You ever seen like Dora the Explorer? They talk to
Chris Jericho's not
the
Dora.
kid watching the TV like that all the time.
It's not Chris Jericho the Explorer.
Man, get away from this shit.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'd also like for MJF to get away from whatever he's doing right now. I thought his promo on this show was really good. But like, what are we doing? Why is he feud? Why is his first feud back with Roosh?
Because they both were gone for just about the same amount of time, and they both just came back.
Who cares?
And I think Roosh is more over than you think, Cody.
Yeah, just because you don't like him.
No one cares.
Can I say my favorite thing about this promo was Roosh coming out and saying, "While you were gone, I've been here racking up wins."
That's not true.
No, you haven't.
No, that's not true. I mean, he's done. He came back sooner, so he had a few matches, but like not a lot.
I'm just saying, like, everyone made the comparison, obviously, of MJF and Triple H because of what he wore at the pay-per-view. This would be like if Triple H returned in 2002 from his quad injury and immediately feuded with Perry Saturn.
I mean,
I don't know who that is.
Exactly. Like, it's fucking stupid. He should be going after Swerve, or, you know, like, he mentioned all these other names in the promo, and it was like, ooh, yeah, a program with Swerve, or ooh, yeah, MJF and Will Ospreay. We haven't seen that yet. And then it's like Roosh comes out. And again, kudos to MJF, because I felt like MJF did a very solid job of trying to build Roosh up and get him over it with his words.
But that's the thing. He won't get over with. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you feel about Roosh as, you know, probably not as much as I feel about Jericho. You don't care, but a lot of people do.
The crowd, they're into MJF, but they didn't give a shit about anything Roosh said. They wutted him the whole time.
Well, because he's not English. Which like no bullshit.
It's not English. No,
like no bullshit. Like for real. No jokey joke here, but like for real. Like his English has very much improved since the last time that he was like on TV, like full time or whatever. And I want to give him props for that. That's pretty good.
Sure. I think
See,
it's a
I
dumb
can hear
program.
that in your fucking voice, Cody.
I
Just
think it's a
because
waste
it's
of
rude.
MJF.
Nah, I was fucking with you. Go ahead.
I'd rather see him wrestle Penta, but we might not see Penta wrestle anybody
Oh, yeah, true.
in AEW soon because reports came out today actually that Penta's contract is set to expire this summer with AEW. And according to reports, WWE is very interested in him.
And do you feel like that'll be somewhat of a package deal if they could lure Penta over? That like he would come over, then Phoenix would be not too far behind?
I would assume so. Because I feel like you got to get both of them.
How do you present Penta in WWE? Is he part of the LWO or is he part of Legado?
Because I mean, like, no lie, we make jokes here, but like that's what they fucking do all the time. They just lump all the Spanish people together instead of trying to make them their own individual star.
I think he stands out on it. Like you cannot package him in a stable successfully.
No, I don't think so.
He's too unique. But I do wonder where he would even fit in at WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But we could get Penta and Shinsuke in a match. That'd be fucking cool.
Yeah, and then it's like NXT.
No.
I mean, I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I sighed before I said that. But I don't know. Yeah, because
Ricky Starks can go to NXT, but Penta cannot.
Mm-hmm.
No. If there's one very legitimate criticism of the Paul Levesque era, it is his inability to book Latino wrestlers, because they've really all just been like lumped together and then put into feuds with each other. So
I think that's where it gets messy, is because they also feud with each other as opposed to being integrated in the show elsewhere, which I guess that's happening with the draft. They've been split up and now they're feuding with the Judgment Day on one show and then nothing on the other.
Right. That's the thing, is Phantasma is doing nothing now. And like, I mean, even like Carlito is like grouped with Dom and Damian Priest.
Yeah. And that was another thing that, contract wise, Humberto, who's in another one of those groups, he's on the way out.
Yeah.
Like, as far as contract wise,
Angel's contracts are coming up too, but
I think that's just evergreen. We talked about that last week. They just didn't sign smart deals with WWE and they forgot to call everybody a month ago. So now everyone's deal is up tomorrow.
I will say though, I think Penta has done everything there is to do in AEW for him. I think he's I don't really see him as a world champion at this point. Maybe a few years ago. He's, him and Phoenix have done all the big tag matches. I think he's kind of run his course there. I think the smart move for him would be to go to WWE. And I think WWE would need to absolutely
make him a big deal.
Make him a big deal, because he would move a lot of merch if they sell the masks and
since
I think it could be a big deal for WWE.
Yeah, like no bullshit. Since Rey Mysterio, I think moving forward, if you bring Pentagon in, that he could take up. I mean, we said it so many times that he can take Rey Mysterio's place. Oh, he can take Rey Mysterio's place. I legitimately think that he could take the mantle up from Rey here and carry forward.
Well, there's also Dragon Lee, who should be not being treated he is currently. So they have a lot of options if you want masked luchador. The other thing is you can just have several, and they all sell merch and they all have different personalities and they are just integrated into the show.
Yeah, cool. I do agree with that, but at the same time, I mean, it's kind of hard to, I don't know, if you get too many of them, do they really stand out?
Too many of who? Like
the masked wrestlers.
Oh, that seems a little problematic, B-Rub.
Is that
no?
Is that
you
what we're
made it
calling them now, B-Rub?
No,
there's
you
too many
made
of them. How do they stand out?
No, you made it problematic.
B-Rob's like, we need a wall around the performance center.
No,
keep all
no.
These masked wrestlers.
No. And it's funny that you say that, because I got Jericho's Wikipedia up right now, and they talk about the $3,000 he donated to Trump's election campaign.
That's just under his Jericho name. He also donated under his other name, which is, I think, a legal thing. But that's enough about illegal campaign contributions. I think if WWE were to bring in Penta, I think the first thing you do is put him in a match with Cody Rhodes for the title. Like, I think you present this guy as a star and a main eventer right out the gate, which means no Alex Abrahantes. It's just Penta with a cool ass entrance and wrestling.
That's a really good idea. I mean, we were just talking on this show about how the SmackDown roster is a little weak and there aren't a lot of potential opponents lined up for Cody. I think that's a great idea. I think you sign Penta and you have him come in and immediately put them what's the October pay-per-view? Is it Hell in a Cell? Like, do it. Do a Hell in a Cell Penta versus Cody.
Yeah.
That would fucking
Dark.
rule.
Yeah, Penta Dark in this bitch for Halloween.
I think the other thing is, now that there's an AEW with Tony Khan's pocketbooks, WWE is going to have to make him a huge offer, and you have to justify that quickly. So you can't just bring him in as LWO extra. He has to be treated like a main eventer.
Yep. 100%.
Because they're going to pay him a fuck ton of money to lure him away from whatever the contract renewal is.
Yeah, and plus is like, you got to keep him out of Impact because he's a former world champion there. You got to keep him out of CM. Wait, Paul, if you let me finish, you got to keep him out of CMLL, and you got to keep him out of AAA and all those other places that he's prominent in. So, yeah, you're going to have to give him the big bucks.
And I mean, so far they've done all, besides the people that like were, for lack of a better term, cut from AEW, like your Lexus Kings and your Ethan Pages. The people that they've lured away from AEW, they've treated like stars. Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill. I think you're right. I think they throw him the bag and they put him in the main event with Cody.
Yeah.
Sounds like good business.
Yes.
Could not happen though.
Very true. He
Very
could
true.
just resign and we'll talk about him wrestling on Collision for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
But someone else who we will be seeing on AEW for the foreseeable future is Alicia Atut, because she announced that she is all elite and has joined the broadcast team.
Again? Because like early on,
she was never part of it.
I thought she was there earlier on though.
I think she did like a thing, but
Yeah,
they never actually brought her in.
But they
I don't think she ever signed a deal, but she was there during the kind of startup of the company.
Yeah, and then they got her. They
Was
got
she
her
only
away
there
from
for like
MLW.
the first All In or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, she was there in the beginning
Maybe the
because
first Dynamite. I don't remember.
it was
I
her.
think today is the first time I've heard that name.
Yeah, because it was her and your boy Chris Van Vliet. They were both there as part of the broadcast team or whatever in the beginning.
Oh, my boy. I'm a little surprised it took this long. Granted, her relationship with MJF probably helps.
Well, she had to finish her MLW stuff.
She got out of that deal like several years ago.
What?
Pretty sure she's been out of MLW for quite a while. She's just been doing nothing.
Huh? That's
And
weird.
When this company started, like, she was online as like, this is the next Renee Young. Like, this is the next Kathy Kelly. Like, she had this big presence of backstage person who had a personality and stood out and seemed really good at her job. And then she was just kind of like stuck in MLW for a minute. And then they couldn't justify bringing her in because they have 1,000 people in their broadcast positions.
Yeah.
But with Mark Henry leaving and, other people's contracts coming up, it probably makes it easier to bring people in for that.
Yeah.
But she'll probably fit in quite well.
Yeah, she's real good. I mean, I've personally talked to her and everything. Great personality. She has years, multiple years worth of freaking experience as far as interviews and things go. So, I mean, it's no doubt that she'll fit in with anything they need her to do.
So, AEW, do we have anything else to say about it? I hope they turn this shit around because this week was rough. Which is a bummer because the main event was really good with Swerve and Roderick Strong. Like, first time they booked Swerve in a main event to feel like a world champion, and the whole show is overshadowed by Chris Jericho bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sure Forbidden Door will be great. Because I feel that
on paper, the card looks really good so far.
Yeah.
Especially the women's stuff.
Yeah.
Which is not usually the case for this company.
Yeah, because I'm interested to see how that goes. I mean, it makes sense in some aspects to where like we got Stephanie Vaquer and I hope I pronounced that wrong. I mean right. But like her versus Mercedes and it's title for title. So I mean I'm very interested in that match alone because it's gonna kind of shape what we got going forward for New Japan, because they're talking about in their hierarchy change to where all the New Japan Strong titles will be defended exclusively in the U.S. only and not in Japan. So Mercedes, if she wins, she's going to be doing U.S. tours with that title.
Yeah, so looking forward to Forbidden Door at the very least. There will be some cool stuff there.
Even that might be a tell because, you know, it could be visa or travel issues for Stephanie. That's why she might be able to drop the title here since it's going to be solely based in the U.S. for title matches.
Yeah. I want to see Hechicero there. That's who I'm excited to see. He showed up in that casino battle gauntlet thing was and yeah, they should put him on that card because he's great.
Hechicero is going to show up in New Japan, I think.
Hell yeah.
Well, I thought this show was great. But despite all that, we didn't get all of it. And we will try again next week. If you like the show, subscribe if you didn't get all of it, wherever you get your podcast. Write us a review, please. And if you really like the show, tell your friends, make posts about us on all the places you talk about wrestling. And definitely consider joining the Patreon at patreon.com/Fatal4Pod. That's Fatal, F-O-U-R, pod. For only $3 a month, you get ad-free episodes, full access to the exclusive Discord, and like we mentioned earlier, stuff is happening all the time with the movies and live watch-alongs for pay-per-views. All the fun stuff is happening. Your support goes a long way of keeping this show afloat. So thank you for subscribing if you do, and reviewing and spreading the gospel of didn't get all of it. We appreciate you. And finally, if you missed any of that, all of it can be found at fatal4pod.com. For myself and the rest of the Fatal 4, we will see you Sunday and then next week.